right. Hey, um, we're ready to start another campaign here at Purdue for volleyball, and so far there have been a lot of exciting things that have gone on, mostly thanks to our fans. We've sold out every match already on the home. I used to say the home boards, but now we're playing on a TerraFlex floor, so that will have to be some new terminology there. But all those matches sold out. I think we're playing 12. Does that make sense? No, 11 on Holloway, and then 2 in Mackey. We only have 13 home matches, so the opportunities to see Purdue are going to be a little slimmer this year because our non-conference slate has us on the road for a lot of matches, and I don't feel great about that, but that's just the way things worked out. But we do open up this weekend with the Stacy Clark Classic, and those of you who don't know Stacy Clark and why we've named this tournament after her is she was probably the kindest and most generous person I've ever met in my lifetime, and she was our biggest fan at Purdue until she passed from pancreatic cancer. And since that time, we've named this tournament after her, the Stacy Clark Classic. So we always try to play our very, very best for her in this event. And this year we have Kansas State, who I think is, at the end of the season, will prove that they are a top 25 team and will be an NCAA tournament team, as well as UMBC, who was in the NCAA tournament a year ago, and then UC-Davis. I don't think we've ever played UMBC or UC-Davis before, but we have a really good communications person that would be able to figure that out for me. But I know that we haven't played them during my tenure here. But I know the competition will be good. You know, I like the fact we're opening with Kansas State. That gives us great motivation during this preseason practices to know we're going to play a really good team with some really good players. And they had an exhibition match at Wichita State on Saturday and punched Wichita State in the mouth. 3 straight sets, played a lot of different people, so we really can't tell too much from that except that they're really good, but we didn't need to watch the stats from Wichita State to know that because we watched them beat Texas a year ago, and Texas went on to win a national championship. So they're athletic, they're fast, they've got a veteran setter, they compete hard, they're well coached. I think Jason Mansfield is in his 2nd season, but I could be wrong. It might be his 3rd. Really, really good coach. He's been a lot of different places and has done a great job everywhere he's been. So I know that first weekend will be a lot of good matches, and we're looking forward to it. All those will be played in Holloway Gym. Our team is getting better. You know, we had some things we identified at the very start of the season that we thought were really important for us to improve on. Some of the same things we worked on all last year. We just never really saw that come to fruition. But I think here in the last 4 or 5 days, we've seen our offense in certain areas get to where I think it's going to need to be this first weekend to find some success. We've always, you know, used defense as our calling card here, and I think this has a potential to be one of our better defensive teams. We're not a veteran squad, but yet we're a lot more experienced than we were a year ago when we were maybe the youngest team in all of the power conferences. So, yeah, that's the story. 7 o'clock on Friday, we open up with Kansas State, and I always love walking into that gym for the very first time of the season when those students come in for the first time, and it brings a lot of energy. So we're looking forward to a great crowd on Friday night. Questions?
Dave, I think when people look at your program, they know about Eva and Chloe and Raven Colvin, Horning, Larissa Myers. Wanted to ask, what does Raven Gray bring to this program? What has she added that maybe you were searching for?
Yeah, Raven Gray is a transfer from Winston-Salem State, and when we had a couple of players go on the injured reserve list late in the summer, we had to find the best player possible, and Raven is a really, really good athlete, and she's played at Division II, which doesn't mean she's not a good athlete. It just means she hasn't played against as many good athletes as what she's about to see in the Big Ten. There's a learning curve, that she's dealing with right now. But she's about 6'1/2", and she touches 10 feet 6 inches, which is a really good jump reach for a player in our league. She's not used to seeing a big block, and we're playing her a lot on the right side of the floor instead of the left side where she's played most of her time. It's going to be really hard for anybody to beat out Eva Hudson or Chloe Chacoin. So we're really trying to, I guess, stockpile the right side and see, who can get the job done for us out there.
How's Taylor Anderson come along? I know, football coaches don't want to start a true freshman quarterback if they can help it. I think the same for volleyball coaches wanting to start a true freshman setter. But she's somebody who got experience last year, obviously was very good, but I imagine is much better prepared for what she's about to enter now as a sophomore.
Yeah, I think, maybe the best way to evaluate Taylor is how well are her hitters playing. And I've mentioned this on our very popular Dig City show, that Raven is playing at a significantly higher level than she has the last 2 seasons. And that's mostly because she is absolutely enjoying the sets that are coming from Taylor Anderson. And Taylor Anderson's grown up a lot in a year. She still is a very, I call her reserve player as far as verbally. She doesn't say much unless she needs to. But her level of play from setting the ball, which is what we need her to do, that's the most valuable skill she has been tremendous. And I know all of her teammates feel really good about where she is. Last year, if you remember, we were kind of going back and forth between her and Poulter. And even the last match of the season, we were still, to some degree, going back and forth. Where I think this year it's her team, and providing she stays healthy and continues to do all the things she's doing, I think she'll make a statement for being an all Big Ten level player.
Can you kind of discuss the strategy when you're putting a non-conference schedule together, when you are expected to be one of the top teams in the country, when you do have a lot of players who have played together? You want to play kind of a mix of mid-majors, I think, probably in power conference teams, but also you want to play the best schedule that prepares you for the Big Ten as well.
Yeah, with this team in particular, we felt like we should be ready to go in non-conference. Now, we didn't know when we put the schedule together that we would not have Grace Heaney and Emily Rastovsky. We thought that they would be part of the roster to begin with, but they're not. And but you're trying to, number one, make the NCAA tournament. You want to make sure you're scheduling wise enough that you're going to get enough wins during the non-conference to go enough with those numbers that you're going to get during the Big Ten, which who knows what that's going to be like now with some new really good teams in the league. But you're also in the back of your mind looking at what Wisconsin and Nebraska and Texas and Stanford and Pitt, Louisville, some of those teams have done by the opportunity to play 4 of their tournament matches, NCAA tournament matches at home. And you do that by being one of the top 4 seeds. And, you look at our team, and clearly, we're ranked 8th, so we're not that far from 4. I think that's 4 spots. And so, you roll the dice, and you decide what is it going to take for us to earn a top 4 seed. And what that means is you're probably going to have to go, if we have 11 non-conference matches, you better go 9-2, and then you better go 17-3 in the league. And then I think you're in the conversation for that. And can this team do that? I don't know. I have a lot of confidence in them, but we did schedule really tough. And the worst part about the non-conference is, for us this year, is that 8 of our matches are on the road and 3 are at home. So that will toughen us up in a hurry.
Just this tournament in particular, I know it used to be you would start on a 10 a.m. on Friday with 100 degrees
Right.
in there and 80 people in the stands. What's the benefit of spreading it out over 3 days and having it to where you can probably maximize the crowd on each day?
Yeah, the NCAA has changed their number of dates you can play. It used to be 28, and I think maybe it's 32 now. And they made that change for the student-athlete welfare so that they weren't having to play. They didn't have to play 2 matches in the same day. And it was as much for coaches' mental health as anything, because it's tough enough to prepare for 1 match a day, 3 days in a row. But when you're trying to prepare for 2 of them in the same day, and you've got maybe some days, I remember we were at Tennessee 2 years ago, we literally had 45 minutes in between matches, and we had to be ready to play Tennessee, the host team, in a very short layover. So, but I think it's great for everybody. You know, there should be no more excuses about where we were not mentally or physically capable of playing. You're going to have a whole day to rest before you play again.
Dave, you talked about the the number 8 preseason ranking. Is that something? And obviously the goals for this team, which you can keep internally. Is that something you've addressed with the team? That the ranking came out, this is a very public thing, or do they process that pretty well on their own?
I've not discussed that with our team. I'm sure that they know that they're ranked 8th in the first poll. I hope that gives them a little bit of belief that people think they're going to be pretty good. You know, we finished, I don't know where we were last year, 13th, 14th, somewhere in that category. But we lost pretty hard at the end to Oregon, just, beat us badly at Wisconsin. Well, the scores didn't indicate. It sure felt like we got beat really bad by Oregon. And so, we have a lot to prove. We know we have to get better in a lot of areas. And again, this team isn't as deep as probably 75% of the teams that I've had, but we're awfully good at the top. We've got some players that can play. And if we can bring, certain players along the way that I'm seeing them progress right now, then I think we're going to be a hard team to beat this season. Okay, thank you. Boiler up. Yeah, she's playing great. We won't need to